All right, welcome to another episode of 40 and Fit, where we take a deep dive into the male mind on the verge of a midlife crisis. My name is John Baruch. I am the host for the evening. To my right, we have our main man, Dave Kalari.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
And to our left, we have a special guest today. Well, everyone welcome Kirk.
Kravitz.
Same thing, got it. So, just so you know, we're pretty straight and raw here. There's no censorship. You said Lenny Kravitz. You threw it all off. So Lenny. So everything is just straight up here. And again, to my left, we have Kirk Mitchell. Kirk, how are you doing today? Good. So today is we're going to discuss a number of things, but we want to take a deep dive into your life, right? I was told that there's some big realm about you that we need to take a deep dive into, given from our boy Andrew behind the scenes over there. So, like I said at the beginning, though, right? The episode is 40 and Fit, where we take a deep dive into the mind of a male mind in the midlife crisis, right? The whole thing is, I always want to start it off by finding where people stand in life, right? This is how I want to start this whole thing off. This is the reason why we started it, to find out where we all stand and how we handle certain things. So, and the first question is right off the bat. Do you believe in midlife crisis? Have you ever gone through some sort of midlife crisis? If so, because being an entrepreneur, right? What did you do? What do you feel like it would come upon on you, and how would you handle it, or how did you handle it, and certain things like that?
I guess I'll start off by saying I do believe in midlife crisis.
Okay.
And I don't think I had one until I was approached by Andrew for Do 40 and Fit to talk about midlife crisis. I was like, oh shit. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Right,
You're good. Yeah, don't worry about it.
So I don't think I have a midlife crisis.
Okay.
But
You don't have to.
yeah.
You just don't know.
No, but I get it. I get it, especially when you have kids and you have like a scale of seeing how time moves a lot quicker than we think or we thought when we were younger.
Yeah.
So start putting things in perspective at a certain age and realize that you don't have all the time in the world. And then your body starts acting a little different.
Absolutely.
It's not on the same page as your mind. So I definitely believe in it. I haven't had one yet, but I could see one coming.
Okay. So before we move forward more, let's get a little more on your background, right?
Yeah.
So I got a lot of information on you,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked into it. I really did. I took a deep dive into your website and stuff like that. Andrew sent a bunch of stuff about you. So I'm just to verify, you're an architect, designer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneur, father of two, and you run a successful firm out in Inglewood.
In England, yep.
Right. So cool. So why architect design? Because if you guys looked on his website, we'll put the description on the link there. You have some really great stuff. I was like, wow, this guy has an eye, and like I don't have that type of
Actually
thing.
got two of them.
You got two of them. He just closes one,
They
and
both
he can
work.
still do it really well. He only needs one, but the two makes it double just as good. So, what made you start off in architecture?
So I've been talented and in love with art all my life.
Okay.
Both my parents are artists, not professionally, but something that they've done coming up when I was younger. And I excelled in all my art classes in school. And it was, my favorite joy. It was a passion of mine. And then high school, I started looking I had to find a career or something to major in college in order to start filling out applications for school. And I had no idea. So I went to my art teacher at the time. Shout out to Mr. Otoshin. I don't know if he's still living or not, but that was my Teaneck High School art teacher. And I asked him, I said, I want to do something in art, but I want to make money. I don't want to be a struggling artist. And he said,
Well,
well,
go to the finance department.
get out of art immediately. No, he said, look into architecture. And I'm like, wow, I've never even thought about that. Like, I didn't even really know what architecture was.
Right.
I had an idea, but didn't know the details. And then once I looked into it, never looked back.
Really?
Never looked back.
It was that
crystal clear.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Let me. If it wasn't architecture, what would it be then?
I don't know, painting nude women. No, I don't know. That's a good question. It would have to be something in the art field, something in the design field.
The design
Yeah.
field. Okay.
Yeah.
So why specifically? How did you get into like design of like homes and stuff like that? Because again, you're like, I don't know, I'm not good at putting colors and patterns together.
Right.
I'm really not that person, right?
Right.
I'm very straightforward with that stuff. I've learned that I know my role, and I'm not that person. How do you come up with those things, and how did you figure out that was like what you wanted to do? Like, why?
Well, so first I just started off. I was big into drawing cartoon characters and graffiti. Like,
Okay,
I was
yeah.
big into graffiti. This is back in
Tagging?
the early '90s. Tagging and I would do like custom names for people in school. I would
okay.
paint on jeans. Even back in middle school,
You used
I
to
would paint on
jeans.
jeans.
Yes, I remember
and do
that.
like their name with the Bart Simpson character and like. I would do that and make
I
money
remember
off
that.
of
Man,
it.
this guy's a man.
Yo,
I used to
that-
make money in middle school with a good friend of mine, and so I was big into that. And I didn't know nothing about designing buildings. I would just play around with it. So it's not until I actually learned and started studying architecture where I actually saw that I did have a passion for that, because it's very relatable, especially residential design, because we all live in a home. Well, most of us are lucky enough to live in a home, so you can relate to the spaces in a home and how they function and how they should look, and a nice looking home versus an ugly home, a big mansion versus an apartment building. So it just kind of the practice and study of architecture opened up a passion that I didn't know I had, which is residential design.
Wow.
But before that, it was just drawing. I just love drawing. I love drawing, graffiti, art.
Y'all
And
just
then-
kind of came into play.
And then it once I opened the book of architecture and started learning what it was all about, it kind of focused my talents and my passion.
Was it
towards
first
that.
like designing a building and like the structure of a house, or was it more so how the layout, the feng shui of the rooms?
Good question. It was, they kind of go hand in hand, right? You can't do one without the other. So it really started with just kind of laying out functions of rooms and spaces, and then kind of morphing that into a mass and saying, a cool building. Because when you're in school for architecture, you don't have to think about budget or anything realistic, how it's going to be built.
Right.
Your building can float in space if it wants to, because it's just theoretical. But that way, it gives you a little bit more leeway to be creative. So then, when I started architecture, people were still drawing by hand. Nowadays, everything is done in the computer.
Yeah.
But people were still drawing by hand. So I had to learn to draw by hand. In the old blueprints, that's why they called them blueprints, because they used to, run them off ammonia machines and make blueprint copies. And so I learned the basics first, and then I started getting into the 3D modeling and 3D animation and graphics. And then that helped me kind of design massings of buildings, and then started to play things with things that I couldn't do in 2 dimensions, I can now do in 3 dimensions. So it kind of just brought it together, and that's.
So, all right, that's incredible that you have that eye and that look, and you could actually render that in your head. How did you? Were you working for a firm prior to this? Like, how did you get a job? You just started this.
Oh, my own practice?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I worked for a lot of firms. So
Okay.
when
that
I was lucky
experience
enough to start an internship when I was in college. My uncle knew the city commissioner of Mount Vernon at the time, and he was an architect.
Okay.
So in like '98, like my sophomore year in college, he got me an internship. I would work there when I came home. So I learned more about the practice, and then I started working for larger firms. The Hillier Group used to be one of the biggest architecture firms in New Jersey. I did an internship with them in D.C. while I was in school at Howard University. And then when I'd come home for the weekends and stuff, at Newark, I would work. So I had a bunch of jobs until I started my own practice.
Okay. What made you decide to? Because I saw like there's a blip of your background, how you were doing other things and stuff like that. But how did you go into? Why did you decide to start your own? Like, did you feel like other people just weren't doing it as well, or something like that, or you're just better than them?
You know what? I've never really been an employee. I've never had an employee mindset. I've always had an entrepreneur's mindset, and I always know I wanted my own business. Just didn't know necessarily what it was going to be. So when I started practicing architecture and learning about architectural firms and the business of it, I realized it's something I can do and something I wanted to take on. So besides the architecture business, I also invest in real estate. So I've had a real estate business. I used to do general contracting when times got rough in 2009, when the economy crashed. All architects lost their jobs. And I was doing general contracting because I was doing real estate investing. I had a bunch of rental properties, and I had a crew of people that would do repairs and renovations. So I started opening that up to family and friends and started making money that way. So I've had a bunch of different businesses.
Do you still do that? Real estate
No,
and stuff?
I don't.
No.
I just still do real estate. Yes, I
You do.
still invest in real estate. I still flip houses.
Nice.
And I'm trying to get more into development, but I don't do any GCing anymore.
No, okay.
It's just too much work.
I mean, I figure there's a lot behind that. We're gonna dive into a couple of things, but when it came to starting your business, let's go there for a second.
Mhm.
Right, I'm always curious about these things, and I know as we're always trying to figure out how we're gonna make the next buck or how we start our own businesses.
Mhm.
What was it like then to even start a business? Like that you had funds laid out? Do you have investors? Like how did you even start? Like
Right,
it's always
right.
like a weird question.
It's-
People are like,
no,
how do you
it's
come
a-
up with
it's a-
that type of money to like just rely on? Hey, I'm just gonna jump in.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of planning. So most architects do what they call moonlighting, which is work from, you do a 9 to 5 work at the firm,
Mhm.
and then you do a 5 to 9 at home. You start doing little projects here and there, right?
Okay.
So most architects moonlight, even though it's looked down upon. So,
Really?
Yeah, it is. It's they don't want you. It's kind of dibble dabbling. I don't know if it's a conflict of interest, but it's looked down upon.
Save all your best ideas for
That's right.
for the man.
For the
That's
man.
right, that's
Oh,
right.
Wow.
Good shit away.
That's okay.
I never understood that, but I guess that's how it is here. So,
Okay.
but so I started getting jobs, and the jobs started becoming larger and larger. So what I did was I had a launch date. I set a launch date, which is a date that I was going to go off on my own.
Okay.
And I gave myself a year to really plan, sit down, started getting all my resources together, started saving as much money as I could, reaching out to all the people that I knew that would assist in getting projects like real estate investors, real estate brokers, contractors, other engineers. So other people that I could, essentially look to get work. I started taking people out for lunches and dinners and kind of just explaining to them that I'm gonna, go off on my own soon, and I would appreciate their support.
Was this like a hush hush thing? Like you're
Oh,
not
it
allowed
was very hush.
Got
I
it.
couldn't-
Really?
I worked in a company. It was a real estate investment trust that I worked in, and it had about 120 people at the time. So I couldn't let not one person know that I was leaving.
What would happen? What could possibly happen today? Mob? What's gonna happen?
People get their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a small, I'm assuming, tight knit group.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
I know everyone's feeling you get butthurt no matter what, but
Yeah.
it's like, but what are they gonna do? Like, it's
It
just, I
wasn't
don't know. I
so-
mean, maybe it's just like I get it. It's a conflict of interest. It's like, what is it that they're scared of? That they're the number one
Competition.
person?
One is competition,
Okay.
right? You could take jobs away from them, even though that wasn't my intentions, and nor
Right.
did that happen. But yeah, I think it's just really competition, and in corporate world, because that was definitely the corporate America. They, like you said, they want all the talent, all the money. They want everything focused on that job. They'll provide you everything that you can to make them money. But if you think about starting making money outside of them, that's where things start getting fuzzy. So so I had a launch date. I gave myself an entire year to save as much money as I could to get my plan, put my portfolio together, get my website ready. So the day that I launched, I already had actually a 40-unit residential project with a friend of mine who left his job about a year earlier, and I was going to partner up with him. So I had a big project that I was undertaking. I saved a bunch of money, got my portfolio ready, website was done, my contacts were notified, everything was set to go.
What year was this?
This is 2017.
That's not too long ago.
Yeah,
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. That's unique. That's such a great story. Where kind of weird, like saying great that other people will be losing someone they're working with. But yeah, I think that's weird because that leads to another question I had. Like being an entrepreneur, how do I put this? Do we think that everyone, because this is for everyone in the room, right? Do we think everyone could be entrepreneurs that could take that risk? Do you think they should all that, or do you
No.
think? I mean, obviously, we need what we call like workers, right?
Right, absolutely.
Carpenter workers, whatever you want to call them. Do we like? How do we all get into that mindset? Like, why? Why?
Well,
why
you
is
could you could be an entrepreneur and be a carpenter. You own your own business.
A
You're
carpenter worker is
you
just
know.
it's another way of saying a worker. Or I don't want to say
Like work-
minion,
a
but
worker
like,
bee?
Yeah, one of those.
the soldiers.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I
You
don't-
do need those.
We do.
we
I
do
don't-
need those, but,
but I
are
don't
there
think
forever guys like
everybody-
that? There's guys that
Everyone is definitely not entrepreneur material. I think one of the biggest things you need is a very high aptitude for risk taking, and if you don't have that, the fear of failing or the fear of losing a job or fear of losing money like completely handcuffs you. Then the fear of all that stuff is ends up making all your decisions for you. So it doesn't mean you can't learn that and like take a few small swings, a couple of bunts, and before you decide to take a big major league swing at it. But I think you really need to understand the risk involved. Everyone could have great ideas, big dreams, and aspirations, but if you don't understand that moving without a safety net is probably one of the biggest things an entrepreneur needs, you're probably not going to do very well in the beginning.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Everybody's not built for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of risk involved, and you have to really believe in yourself. So I was lucky enough right before I was launching, one of my closest friends, she's like a sister to me. Her name is Erica, and she started a group called ACEs, and it was basically
that's the next question I had for you. I saw that
that's
too.
how I
Yeah.
met Andrew, and how we got here today is essentially a group of entrepreneurs that either have already launched, already started their own private practices, or that were thinking about it and needed support. And you'd be surprised how many people are actually thinking about it. It's just to cut that umbilical cord of leaving an employer with a steady paycheck is tough. The only thing that they don't realize is that umbilical cord is not built forever, right? And people are indispensable. They can be fired on a moment's notice, and your whole world would change. A lot of people don't
the
think
employees
about that.
get really scared about it cutting it, and think if they do the right things and are loyal that it'll be there forever.
But there's
The
no
employer
loyalty.
will cut that shit by accident.
There's no loyalty. There's no loyalty.
Trip over like some cables in a room. Oh man, I ripped it out. Oh well.
Well, they look out for themselves at this point, right?
Yeah.
But does that every entrepreneur or owner? Do they have that same mindset? Would you have that same type of mindset?
What do you mean?
Like
Towards,
as a business owner, right? It's like, oh, well, everyone's expendable. Like it's always a weird question I have. And like everyone that we have worked for, or every owner, right? They've started off in that same position of, I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to all right, gym owners, right? I'm going to try and open this gym, and I'm going to get all these people to work for me, right? But at that point, it's like, oh, do you become that person where everyone's expendable, or how do you keep that faith? Like, how do you, like you said, we're always scared to lose a job. Like, how do you become that one?
That's a good question.
Well, you create the environment where you don't have employees. You have people who help you build your vision. If you don't treat the people who want to be a part of it like a number, or that they don't have like a personal stake in whatever your vision is. Like if Kirk's gonna hire somebody, I'm sure if he sits down and speaks with them, it's like wherever he wants to go, even though they can't see it, they have to be somewhat aligned with maybe where he was when he started, or where he wants to go, or where they see architecture going in the next 2 to 5 years. But if they're just someone kind of interested in like clocking in, getting a paycheck, you're like, you know what? There's other places you can do that are like they don't need to grow outside of what they're doing right now. But if you want to grow, you want to find people who are interested in growing with you and within themselves. And I think if you're one of those people who's interested in helping others grow within themselves while helping yourself grow, you don't look at people as expendable. You look at people as like just extensions of your own vision.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% right.
When you started this, did you already have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old are your kids now?
He was one.
He was one. Oh, so that's
he's
even
5
scarier,
now,
right?
right? Or not even one, right? He was born 2016 in May, so he wasn't even
couple
one.
months.
And my wife wasn't working at the time, right? Because she was on maternity leave.
Oh, that's like real fresh then.
But when she started, it was actually, I'm sorry, she wasn't on maternity leave. She was switching careers.
Oh, okay.
She was practicing to be a nurse or studying to be a nurse. She passed her exams and she got a job while she was pregnant. So the baby came along. One of the reasons I had that year and I kind of lined it up with her going to work was because of her insurance. Because I think it was 2017, right? Was when they mandated insurance.
Yes,
right?
it was 2017.
Yeah, so we were kind of worried about that. Like, all right, I'm going to leave. You can't. It's not like an entrepreneur go out there and say, okay, I'm not going to have insurance. I'll just deal with it and live life, like walking on eggshells. But now you're actually going to get penalized for not having insurance. Oh, thank you so much.
Garçon.
So one of the things was that she was starting working at a hospital as a nurse with great insurance. So that really helped. So that was part of the plan as well.
How was that? Like that? I have to mention because I have 4 kids, and just even
God bless you.
thinking
man.
about that. It's
Struggling with two.
yeah, man. Struggling, and I'm on unemployment at the very moment, right? So that's why I asked a question about entrepreneurship.
He's driving the struggle bus.
Right. I am right. That's what it is, man. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to navigate this one. Okay. I got no GPS, but my two eyes. That's what it is right there. I don't use
MapQuest.
Yeah, it's map, right? I had to print it all out. It was the wrong. I printed out the wrong one at this very
Missed
moment.
one turn. Shit. Now what?
I'm looking for a gas station with maps. Yeah, so that's why I'm always curious in those mindsets. Being around Andrew and Dave, it's just like, all right, well, I always knew I wanted to do something bigger. Dave and I go back 20 plus years,
yeah.
And so we've been trying to do things together for years now. Tried to hook them up with certain companies. They were stupid. They went the wrong way. I'll say it.
That's fine. No, I remember that's a neat idea I had and maybe gave you.
Yeah, every time they were just like everyone they just didn't go, and I was like, you guys are so dumb. But I always knew that there's just being around, like I do have to admit, being around these guys has been a lot easier for me to have this vision, right? Mm-hmm. Like at this very moment, I'm not like hurting for money, but I could really use more money, right?
Can't we all?
That's like where I'm like surviving.
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing I could save at this very moment because everything's literally going through the kids and rent and food, gas. Gas sucks right now. It's like terrible. Like I don't want to drive anywhere. So it's always like that scary part. It still is. I'll turn 43 this year. Like there's a scary part of just taking that jump.
Yeah.
Like what type of advice do you give anyone in my position, younger, to just take that jump? What would you say to someone that's looking to do something like that?
Plan accordingly. You have to have a plan. You have to write your.
No,
plan
you
down.
just don't go.
Yeah,
just
right.
Be like, I'm now an entrepreneur.
No, but the plan has to be written down on paper. The plan has to be detailed.
You're that guy.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. It's not real if you don't write it down.
That's true.
So once you write it down,
or post it on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. It's forever.
So everybody can hold you to it. There you go.
It's forever.
And make sure you're passionate about whatever you're leaping towards. Because if you're not passionate and you're just looking for money, that's going to sizzle out eventually. Yeah. The money will find the passion. I've lived that life where the money will find the passion. And if you're passionate about something, somebody else will read into that passion and then be willing to pay you for that. It's hard to sell something that you're not passionate about.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right?
I feel like someone's at the door. They're like looking at us, making me feel weird.
Maybe. I think, but to Kirk's point, he's right. If you're chasing the dollar, the minute you hit a wall or a barrier, you're like, I don't really feel like climbing over this. Is it really worth it? But if it's something you love, you're like, I'll punch this thing till my knuckles are bleeding get right through it. And, I don't know. If you're always true, if you're passionate about something, you will always speak your message and your vision, whatever that is. Then eventually your audience finds you. You don't really have to go out looking for your audience. Just you become that beacon of whatever it is you're trying to do, and then people end up seeing it and they're like, oh, I want to do business with this person.
Yeah, it's. Where's the bomb sound? Come on. Our funk flex over there not working right now. So how do you, at this very moment, right? What's the dream? Like, what's the ultimate goal? Are you still working with the Aces thing?
Unfortunately, we haven't as a group, we haven't met.
He's probably living at least a portion of it.
I am living the dream. I'm definitely 100% living the dream. And it's a good question because I try to give myself a 5-year plan every 5 years. And I've been very fortunate enough to hit my 5-year plan. So now I'm kind of working on my next 5 years.
Okay.
So the dream is to have a sustainable business. Well, it's in architecture and real estate investing that kind of runs itself. And that way I can practice only when I want to practice.
Got it.
If I feel like there's a design, or I want to do one beautiful home a year and put all my thoughts and ideas into that one home, and while I'm passively making money from my real estate investments, that would be the dream. And then I can have more time to travel with my family and do things that I enjoy outside of that. So that's the dream. Part of when I say living a dream is doing something that I enjoy that doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and that's another thing I was going to add to not just being passionate about going out on your own and being an entrepreneur, but if you do something that you love, then it's not going to feel like work every day. It's like when you go to a 9 to 5, you're like, oh, I don't want to get up. I don't want to, because you're making somebody else money, even if you do enjoy what you're doing. But if you love what you're doing and now everything is solely dependent on you, like the amount of money, there is no ceiling. When you're in corporate America, everybody has ceilings.
Yeah.
When it's
And
just
it's usually
you,
the ceiling's usually the bottom of your boss's foot.
that's 100% correct. And it may not just be, the boss. It could be many bosses down, just your
Right.
superior. So if it's just you, then there are no ceilings, and it's you can take it as far as you want to go.
Oh, that's good advice from both. That's pretty unique. I want to switch it up a little and go into fitness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you're currently a member here at
I
the
am.
gym. The gym. Get to the
gym.
gym. How has fitness helped you in your mindset? Because everyone says the top entrepreneurs in the world, one big thing that they factor into their life, and it's like a necessity, is fitness,
Yes.
being healthy, right? I think that's a huge thing, and I truly believe it. I've been watching some things that we could talk about in a second, but how's fitness helped you? What do you do? Like, what type of workouts do you normally go through? What type of guy are you?
So right now,
Heavy lifter?
unfortunately, no. Well, not anymore. But right now, it's mostly just calisthenics. I haven't actually been to the gym, which I'm a member of and paying good money here in a couple of months. And one is because I have a 9-month, actually a 10-month-old baby at home. 2 is COVID. 3, it's cold outside. I have all the excuses. I could go through the list. But no, I do. I try my best to work out every morning. I get up. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. Shout out to Andrew, who's about to be a member. And the 5 a.m. Club, you get up between 5 and 5:30, and the first thing you do is you work out, right? And you kind of get your blood going, start activate the chemicals in your body, and then after a workout, then I meditate. And it's kind of to clear the brain, clear the mind, get set for the day to come. And then after that, I do a little bit of reading, a little bit of studying, something to advance my education and my knowledge in my field. And then before anybody else is up and the world is sleeping, I'm ready to hit the ground running.
So this is around 8 o'clock by that point?
Yeah, about 8, 7:38. So fitness is very important. One, health is wealth. We all learned during COVID that no matter how much money you have, if you're not healthy, it doesn't matter. You work so hard for this money, but you're not healthy and you're going to drop dead. You can't take the money with you. 2, fitness allows you to stay up long hours, to focus for longer periods of time. And when you're an entrepreneur, you are doing everything. So, if you're working for a company, you have your administrative assistant, you have someone looking over finances, human resources, hiring, the production work, you do it all as an entrepreneur, at least when you first start.
Right.
So until you grow and scale your business, you're taking care of a lot of different tasks and jobs, and you have to be fit. You have to be, and not just fit like muscles, but you have to be able to,
mentally
withstand the day.
Yeah.
Mentally, you got to be able to stay up and work late hours and get up early. And so fitness plays a huge part.
How long have you been working out? Like what right now you said calisthenics because you're home, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was a student athlete. I grew up playing soccer, baseball, and basketball. And I played those 3 sports pretty much up into college because architecture took all my time after that. But up until then, I played, I excelled at those sports. I played them pretty much varsity through my school. And once you grow up as an athlete, you kind of, if you don't work out, if you don't do something physical, then it's like you lost something. It's kind of embedded in my genetics now. Growing up playing these sports year round, training for something. So now it's kind of, that's the takeover. That's the you left off at competitive sports, and now it's more just fitness, competing with yourself, I guess. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's weird because just by you mentioning that, it kind of goes into like what I've always said, that when I go to my kids' school, or we see some of these parents that are pushing their kids, like they're trying to live vicariously through their kids because they were student athletes and stuff like
yeah,
that.
no.
It's like, how do people go into that world, right? It's like, I kind of feel like you're kind of teetering on that side. It's like,
So that's very important for
Right.
me not to do that.
Not
to
to
my
do,
kids.
got it, uh-huh.
Because I actually experienced that. I have a
Really?
I have a nephew through my younger brother, and when he wanted to get into soccer, we were like,
Does his wife know?
Through my younger brother. That was that's so in the wrong direction.
that was good.
That's a clip right there.
So he wanted to play soccer. So we ended up. I was the head coach. My brother was the assistant coach. My dad was like the onlooker.
Oh
and
my goodness!
Wow.
It was so much pressure. It pushed him right out of soccer.
Was he good?
He had potential.
Yeah.
Right.
How old?
He at the time he was
6.
8, 7, 8,
Wow.
and he completely left the sport around 8, 9.
Because he got burnt out?
Not that he got burnt out. It was just too much pressure from the family. You know, it wasn't something that he loved. We're a soccer family, and it just didn't come natural.
But did
to
you
him.
all recognize that, or was it him having a fit or something that having to?
No, he just
He just decided to
pushed back.
stop.
He pushed back.
He pushed back.
He pushed back eventually until he just left, and we realized what happened.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so it's something with my kids. So I still play a lot. I play a lot of golf. I ski. I
Okay.
snowboard. And I have my son now. He actually just came from karate lessons, karate training. He does karate, he does golf, he does soccer, and he does skiing
Wow.
and snowboarding. And all of these things, we don't push him, we expose him,
Mhm.
and then
If he likes
make
it, he
sure he
likes
has
it,
fun
right?
with it.
Yeah.
You know, now there is a certain level of commitment that he has to make, and kids I don't want to go to practice. Well, you have to go. You made a commitment. But as long as they're enjoying it, then we're going to keep cultivating that seed. But
Is there any specific sports that he's
he
showing
loves
him
golf.
more likely? Really?
He loves golf, yeah. Which
Okay.
I'm ecstatic because I didn't grow up playing golf.
Mhm.
So he's lucky enough to be able to grow up playing golf. And,
Okay.
and it's something, I think one of the reasons he loves it because I let him drive the cart sometimes. And he's 5 years old, so he's like, pretty sure that's his favorite part.
Yeah. I think he's
Fast and
supposed to
Furious
be.
on the links.
Oh, man, he's doing a little nuts there. That's cool. He's not liking karate, or is it just
Yeah, he
strictly
likes
golf? He likes all that
karate.
stuff?
He's moving up in belts. He actually trains right here at Tiger Showman's in Englewood. So it's, getting a little competitive edge. He's playing soccer. He's got him out skiing and snowboarding. That's tough, but it's great because it gets him exposure. But it's always going to be a physical fitness aspect to my life and to my kids' life, just
Yeah.
because I grew up playing lots of sports.
So it seems like you have a really, really good relationship with your kids, and I'm assuming you have a pretty good relationship with your wife. I mean,
I hope so.
that's pretty good. Being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, working those hours, how do you balance life, work-life balance? How do you balance being a husband,
Mm-hmm.
a dad,
Mm-hmm.
an owner, a lover, right? Let's
Mhm.
be honest about that. Like, how do you balance all those things and take care of yourself at the same time? There's only 24 hours in a day.
Easy.
What do you do?
You're right. And that's one of the reasons.
And you got to sleep like 7,
I
8
know,
hours.
right?
That's what they tell you. Well, there you go. 1/3 of your life is gone.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's one of the reasons when I found out this guy, Robin Sharma with 5 a.m. Club, was find more hours for yourself. And those hours were before everybody wakes up at 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Those 2 hours just for you. So it's very difficult to balance everything. But I wouldn't be successful in my practice without my family, without my wife, who helps support by doing stuff at the house and taking care of the kids when I have to be at the office or have late nights. And she's also a full-time working wife, so it balance isn't easy. I'm very fortunate that I live 2 blocks away from my parents, so they're very helpful
Okay.
with the kids.
Just have a good support system.
Yeah, I have a great support system. My brother and my sister-in-law live like 4 blocks away from me, so we're all in Teaneck,
Oh,
close
okay.
by. So everybody helps everybody.
You still live in Teaneck?
I still live in Teaneck.
Oh, I live in
Yeah.
Dumont.
Okay,
Hey,
Bergen
you're
County
literally-
boys.
yeah,
There you
somewhere
go.
down
So
there.
if the parents,
You
his
come to
brother
my house.
busy,
So swing by. Don't worry. Probably won't be home, but it's cool. But okay, so you have a support system. But again, let's talk about the sleep pattern at this point, because that's one thing. Gary Vee has said it. I mean, Mark Wahlberg, you talk about his workout schedule. He wakes up at 3:30 in the morning to work out. The Rock wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work out. What time do you guys go to sleep, right? It's like in the fitness industry, we're constantly telling everyone, you got to get more sleep. You got to recover. You got to do this. You got to do that. What a lie that this goes back and forth with everyone else. I'm like, so when does the other successful people sleep? Like, how does that work?
Got to go to bed early.
Which is what's early to you, though?
I go to bed between 9 and 9:30.
See, how's that early? I feel like that's still
It is. Even a couple times we've been getting in bed at like 9:30. And I'm like, God, it's tomorrow's the first day of kindergarten.
Laying down at 8 o'clock, man.
What time do you get up?
Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning. I have clients at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, so I mean, they say you don't need 8 hours of sleep. They say you need
I don't
6 and 7.
Yeah, I wake up sporadically during the night too, though. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I do too. I mean, that's a tough balance, but you got to sleep. You know, you have to sleep. And you know what? Power naps. I don't take them as much anymore. When I worked out of my house before I got the office, I was pretty good at power napping. I could take a quick 30-minute nap. And, you know, your bed's calling you.
That's hard to do, like working from home.
It is.
It's very hard to do.
That's why I needed the office. That's
Right.
why I had to get out of the house, because it's, you know, your bed is right upstairs. It's very convenient.
Yeah, there's a TV right there. Just turn it on.
Right.
I got Wi-Fi. I can use my laptop up in bed.
Right.
Get some work done.
Exactly, right?
Piece of cake.
Yeah, but you gotta power naps. As a matter of fact, so I do a lot of this meditating, and I listen to an app called Calm, and Calm has different featured people that come on and
Isn't that Matthew McConaughey's app, or isn't he on that?
he may be on it for like
Is
a
he the one
sleep
talking?
app.
Yeah, I've
So
heard
people
it.
come and they do guest speeches. Like LeBron James has a really good session. I think it's like 7 parts to it. And one of the things he speaks about is napping. And he
Really?
schedules naps every single day.
Usually during the last minute of the fourth quarter.
Because he doesn't need to. They've already won.
I set that one up. That's good.
LeBron's hearing this.
That's good.
But no, hey, I like LeBron, and he's done good things. But that was just too good to not give it.
That was good. Yeah, you got to sleep. If you don't sleep, you're not going to function properly. So meditation helps too.
Right. So how'd you get into meditation? Just because you're like, oh, I'm tired. Let me just
from this book. This book that I read, the 5 a.m. Club, and he kind of preached about how important sleep, meditating, fitness, all these things played, and that some of the most powerful people in the world, this is the routine that they live by, and how they're able to squeeze more hours out of the day than the average person.
By taking naps and waking up early. Sounds kind of counterintuitive.
Well, even Gary says the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks that, you know, he's so busy. You're like, oh, you like, you know, team no sleep. He's like, no, I sleep. It's just how productive are you when you're awake? You know, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're up in an hour, 5 o'clock. I mean, I got up at 4:30.
Yeah.
And I feel like by the time I'm kind of like midway through my day of sessions, it's like 9:30 in the morning.
That's the whole thing.
I got like a couple more to go, and it's like people are legit just getting to work and like
getting up.
pouring their first cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Some people just rolling out of bed at that time.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think if you're wondering like, oh, how do people do it? How do people balance it? How can I do more? You just got to think of like these little things. I hate to say it, like these little hacks on, you know, like even something as simple as, well, limit your scrolling on social media during the day, or you know. If you feel like, I don't know, if you're commuting somewhere, take that time and listen to some podcasts that are enriching your field or things you're interested in possibly doing or things that you are already doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're taking stuff in, you're getting that 2-for-1 on the time, you know?
Hacks. I was actually watching this interview with Kobe Bryant, and he was talking about how pretty much all professional athletes, at least in the NBA, they do 2-a-days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they train 2-a-days, and then maybe they take off in the summer, so they don't do 2-a-days. They do 1-a-days. So Kobe's like, I'm always looking for ways to get an edge, to be better than the next person, to, you know. So what he started doing was 3-a-days. If he wakes up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, then he can start 2 hours earlier than everybody else and fit one more session in by the end of the day. So he said, if I add all those extra sessions up by the start of the season, I'm 5 years past. There's no way anybody can be as good as me because they haven't put in as much time. I have so many more sessions in, so many more hours in to my perfecting my craft that there's no way you can catch up to me.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Because at one point,
that's some straight up Kobe.
That's Mamba
Kobe shit.
mentality.
Yeah, that's definitely Mamba mentality right there. So whenever I hear those things, right, the first thing goes in my head, like, you get burnt out, right? I'm always battling. That's a personal thing right there. I battle that part of, man, I hope I don't get burnt out. Because again, I say it, I don't want to use my kids as a crutch, but I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And they're teenagers. My kids, my oldest one has a boyfriend.
What?
Yeah, she's got her.
She didn't clear that with any of us here.
It's weird. It's weird. She's turning 16 and she's got a boyfriend.
Oh man,
I know. Like I look at this kid, I'm like, what are you wearing? I was like,
well, what does he wear?
The first time I met him, he was wearing a Popeyes t-shirt and
Popeyes, like the fast food
food.
place?
Yeah, and
is he an employee?
A Taco Bell hat.
Dude.
Right? So they don't even go together.
No, first of all, when you see those restaurants,
It should be
it's
Taco Bell and KFC. Exactly. Right? So I was really annoyed by that.
But at least what I do like this kid, he's challenging the status quo.
and I looked at him, I was like, so what are you wearing? And obviously my daughter got really upset with me for asking the question. I'm like, whatever.
That was the one question you asked.
That was the first question I asked. I didn't even care.
What was his response?
He's just like, oh, they're my cousin lent me the shirt. I'm like, you don't have your own clothes? I'm that person.
Wow.
I'll go with stupid questions just to see what his responses are.
Right.
And then he looks at her and he goes, oh, I see where you get your humor from. From your dad. I was
Did that feel good?
Yeah, that was good. I was
Okay.
like, that means she's smart. That means
She was probably like,
she's a smart ass.
man, she was giving me shit about my Popeye shirt earlier. Now dad's doing the same thing?
Yeah. So now like and then I ended up meeting his parents.
Mm-hmm.
That was awkward. Because I was just like, so how should I respond back about your kid? Right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, your daughter's so great, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, let's have a sit down by your son. I was like, they're too close on the sofa. I'm like, I don't like that part. I keep the door open. I make sure I hear them. That's my big thing. I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, he's at the house a little too long. I was like, he needs to go home at 8:00, not 8:30 anymore.
Is he 16 also?
He's turning 16ish.
Okay.
But they're like brains. They're like, because my daughter goes to extension school for Bergen Academies.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so they're both in the newest extension school in I don't know, Demers.
okay.
Yeah, they opened up an extension part.
And apparently at Popeyes.
Yeah, right? That's where they all work apparently. So they're all really smart kids.
That's great.
So it's good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm very proud about that. That's one thing.
As
I'm
you
just
should
like,
be. It's part you.
It's insane how like people are like, wow, you're really getting like emotional. I'm like, that's my first baby, and I'm just like, she's like one of the smartest kids in her last school. Like the fact that she was like top 3
just to get into the academy.
Yeah, that's what I said too. When we went to the intro, we went to
gosh.
we sat there. I was like, this is your school? I was like, this is insane. Number 4 school in the country.
Wow.
Number 1 in New Jersey. And she got into it. I'm just like, it's weird. You're a Baruch. How'd you get in? It's just like,
I don't remember writing any
I was like,
checks.
well, exactly. I was like, I don't have any money. I was like, how did you do it? But she also lacks like a social aspect of her. She definitely does. Because some of the things that comes out of her mouth too, I'm just like, wow, that's me.
That'll come.
I know it definitely will, but it's like weird knowing that she's so smart for her age. It's like you never know how old she really is.
Right.
Like that's the part. Like I tell his parents, I'm like, just watch out because they're gonna grow up really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Even I have twins. They're 12 years old. They're turning 13. Boy girl twins. Right. My daughter was like a foot taller than her twin brother.
Okay.
Right? So that was always a huge problem because they thought my daughters were twins, but no, they're the twins. Yeah, look at that, right? He's the athlete of the family. Mm-hmm. She's just the wallflower. So she's the one that hangs out on the side.
Right.
She just kind of watches everything. And then now he's starting to, and she would just pick on him. You're short, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. Oof. And he hated it. And then recently this year, he started eating like a horse. Talk about growing pains. His joints are always hurting. He's always in pain. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Because did you ever have growing pains?
Yeah, a little bit.
See, I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
I actually had to grow.
You're tall. Like how
you
I had a growth spurt, and I don't remember.
Did you guys have growing pains? No, see that I don't remember that part, right?
I used to have little ones like in my shins.
That's
Yeah,
what he
was
said.
it.
His shins and his knees hurt. And I was just
Oh.
like, all right. In the last 6 months, he's grown like 7 inches.
Wow.
But she's still taller than him by like 3 inches, right? So she's
How
still picks
tall
on
are
him.
they?
Oh, she's like 5'5", 5'4", and she's
Okay.
12.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, you're my height. This sucks. Right? Like, this really sucks that you're 12 years old. And she goes, Dad, I'm almost as tall as you. Shut up. Go away. And he's right there too. And they are not like their older sister. They're definitely totally different. I got 3 different personalities I got to deal with. I'm just like, wow. And then I have my other son who lives in the Bronx. You know, and all my kids, we go into this, they're half black, half Filipino.
Okay.
Right? So just the fact that he's growing up in the Bronx with his mother, who's Panamanian Jamaican,
Okay.
and he's got a Filipino father, right? He's in a weird cross mix of racial stuff. He doesn't know where he wants to be.
Right.
And then I got these 3 that are half black, half Asian, living in Dumont, right? And it's a little weird because they're going. I didn't realize that the whole racial thing was that real to them. Like for my son, it was a big thing. I don't think I've ever mentioned this. What happened the last time to my son? He was playing basketball, and these kids were telling him to get off the basketball court. They said they're like, no monkeys allowed on the court.
Wow.
What?
This is in Dumont?
Dumont, yeah. And I was just like,
Yeah, good old Bergen County.
You're like, why are you guys here then?
Right. And I was just like, what did you say to them? He's like, this is when he actually asked me. He asked permission. This is how much I love my son. He asked permission to curse at them. He said, what curses can I use, Dad? Which ones am I allowed to use? Can I use the A word? I'm like, what's the A word? Can I call them a B? Boy? What is it, right? I was like, what words? Just say it. Just tell me and I'll let you know. Can I use the N word? Whoa. Hold on. I get it. You have rights to it, but no, we're not going to go to that. We're not going to go there. Ask your mom about that one, okay? I was like, I can't allow that. Let's be real. I'm from Spring Valley, but yeah, I can't
Was
do
this your
it.
son that came with us to see?
No,
the
that was
location?
the youngest one.
Okay. So what does he look like then?
He
Does he look more Asian or more black?
definitely has more Asian features.
Yeah.
He's got darker skin.
Yeah.
But he's got dreads. Both
Okay.
my sons have dreads, because of their mom. They just
Yeah.
love dreads. So, oh yeah, Noah had dreads when you saw him too. Yeah, so they have dreads, and they're like the
Locks.
Asian kids, locks. They're not dreads because it's not dreadful. That's right. They're yeah, I just learned that too. Apparently,
I was today years old when I learned that.
yeah, I didn't
Thank
even
God.
know. I really didn't realize until I started asking about their locks.
Uh-huh.
They're like, no, man, it's not dreadful. We're not dreading anything. I was
Right.
like, oh, my bad. That's right, the locks. So yeah, he's been going through all these things and the kids are picking on him. He didn't make the basketball team, so they were like laughing at him as to why he didn't make it. I was like, wow. And he's also the shorter kid.
Right.
I was like, sorry, bro. Like, the height's not in our family.
Yeah.
It's just not. I go, but you're definitely going to be strong as hell. I'll tell you that much. I go, he's athletic. And then there's his twin sister she steals my clothes. She's like, she does. Not even kidding you. We went the other day. I saw, I picked her up. I was like, is that my sweater? Literally. I was like, yesterday. It was yesterday. I was like, are you wearing my sweater? She's like, sorry. I go, where did you get it? Like, I couldn't even find it. She goes, it was in your basement.
It's like I had it.
I was like, are you serious? So yeah, she's that whole baggy look.
I was gonna say,
It's back.
even if she's like got some weight on her,
Yeah.
there's no way your clothes are like fitting her.
No, she's literally maybe 90 pounds
Nice.
and 5'2", 5'3", and she wears
She needs MapQuest in getting into
the
the clothes.
right?
Shit.
Like for Christmas, I bought her a shirt. She doesn't even understand half these clothes that she has. That says, "I want my MTV." She goes, "What does it mean, Dad?" I was like, "You want these retro clothes?"
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
hilarious.
I was like, you don't know what it means? I'm like, never mind.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and so she wants to go shopping at
Spencer's?
No, not even Spencer's.
Oh,
It's
that's the big thing now.
no, Goodwill.
Really?
So we go to Goodwill. You mean Sam Goody? I wish Sam Goody,
Oh yeah.
but Napster took all those stores down.
right.
Sam Goody, all that. But she wants to go to Goodwill, and which is the greatest thing in the world. To be honest with you, I think it's disgusting. But you buy all these clothes, I'm like, you gotta wash this stuff. You really have to wash it. But you buy it by the pound.
That's how it works.
Oh, I didn't know
The
that.
one specifically in Hackensack, it's a super Salvation
I
Army.
went there. I thought I was gonna find some like workout equipment.
Sometimes you can find some good stuff in
Yeah.
Goodwill.
Oh,
I'm
I
not gonna
found
lie.
VHS tapes, VHS
That
rewinders.
place is huge.
Yeah, it's huge, and like I was like, there are heaters in here. It's weird, but she found clothes,
Mhm.
and I was like, it's this whole thing of clothes, and I was like, man, what's this gonna cost me? Right? They put it on this
37 cents.
It was literally $18.
Wow.
Wow.
She had like 11 outfits.
Wow.
I was like, oh, why do you have men's jeans? I was like, why do you have men's jeans with you? She's like, I just need a belt. I go, this is ridiculous.
Don't
though."
even deter her. Just let her ride it out.
I mean, I was like, whatever, man. Hey,
This will pay for her college education.
Yeah, right?
I was like, this is unique and weird, but that's cool. That's fine. What you want? She even bought like records. I'm like, you don't have a record player. I'm like, you don't have a record player. Like, why are you buying records? She took my Biggie record because I used to have DJ equipment. I used to have turntables,
Me too.
and I had
The crates.
a crate. I had my brother brought the crates to Vegas, and I sold the tables. But I kept certain ones that I wanted. I
Mhm.
kept the Fugees.
Mhm.
I kept Jay-Z. I kept Biggie, Tupac, Wyclef. That's what it was, right? She took them all and she like hangs up on the wall. I go, what are you doing? I'm like, don't.
Clout.
No, it's ridiculous. I'm like, no one sees your bedroom anyways. Like, what are you doing?
Better check
You
them.
can't put-
Check them
You know
Instagram
what she-
stories.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Social
didn't think
media.
about that.
Mhm. Background.
I was like,
Yeah.
you can't put those records on the wall. I'm like, do you know how much those things are worth? What's wrong with you?
They're worth my popularity,
So-
apparently.
So in return, how this returns back to life as father, like the whole entrepreneur thing, right? To bring that back, it's like dealing with those kids.
Mm-hmm.
I even got into my youngest son that he's already like dealing with my ex in the Bronx. That whole thing, him being raised seriously different than my other kids. You know, I get them on the weekends.
Right.
Child support, right?
Mhm.
Like to have all those factors in to take that leap of being just straight up on my own.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's beyond scary, and it's just like, how do I do it without sacrificing or people suffering? Because I'm just like, yo, it's already hard paying bills as it is.
Right.
I'm making ends meet, but like, how do I do it? Like, what do I? Like, you're like a plan. I'm like, all right, what am I planning based off of? You know, I mean, I have a lot of connections. I'm like, I guess it's a matter of asking the question.
Yeah.
Who's willing to help?
I mean, part of the planning is financial planning, right?
Yeah.
How much money do I need to put aside to be able to supplement my income? So if I'm not paid for an entire year and I don't get one job or I don't get a dime from whatever it is I'm trying to do as an entrepreneur, that you can cover yourself and that you can support your family and support yourself. So without that, I would not suggest taking a leap into anything without having, some type of backing. Because it's not just passion is the only thing you don't just need passion. You jump out the window and passion is going to let you fly.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Right.
it's like weird.
Can't
like,
call for Rosberg. No, I love what I'm doing. Leave me alone.
Which is, that's why I feel like sometimes I'm like, am I supposed to just do that? Like, where am I putting my faith into?
Well, it seems like
You.
your kids.
I get that part, but it's also like, I know I don't have money coming in.
Well, your kids are at the age soon where they're going to be starting to go off to college, right? So you'll have
Right.
a little bit more. It's expensive, and there's ways around it, and grants and scholarships and so forth. But if it's really about time. So if you get some of that time back where they're not in the house, or now you can kind of focus on what you're trying to do. Essentially, it just takes the planning and then the action.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and that's why it's always. In my opinion, it's more beneficial to the younger you are, the easier it is to leap, right? You don't have as much responsibility.
That's why not that I regret it, right? Not the whole midlife crisis thing. But we should have done this stuff a while ago. Like, I really feel like, but we didn't know any better.
Yeah, well, think about it. You were like, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 25. You
Right,
had
I was
no,
so wrong.
you had no idea. You would have had no idea how to make that happen. Even if someone gave you $1 million, you'd be like, I don't even know how to what to do it now.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the sad part. Not of those regret. It's like, oh man, I wish the things I know now, what I would have done 5 years ago.
Yeah, but then you're gonna say the
But
same
you know
thing
them
5
now.
years later,
Right.
So you know it now. So every day is one less day.
Imagine, yeah, it's like I wouldn't look at it and be like, oh man, if only I knew then what I know now. It's more like, imagine what I'm gonna know tomorrow.
Whoa. Another one.
Drop the ball.
You gotta start writing these down, man.
It's recorded. It's already immortalized.
Hashtag.
It's immortalized. I'm on fire tonight. I got one-liners crazy.
It's pretty unique. But I'm just fascinated by how people live their lives and started, right? Now I'm very fascinated with what you've done with a family. That's like it's like I see you just expounded on some of my struggles, and it's like, how'd you do it? Like, how do you do it, right? But I also like the fact that your kids are younger. Also, well, that's just a little weird because you still got to buy more clothes and stuff like that. My kids don't need as much as they used to. So you're kind of on that fun stage where the kids are like fun to be around.
I started late when it came to the kids, so I'm getting. But that also is because I was so focused on the career and making everything line up so that when I did have kids, then we can afford to do the things that that maybe I missed out on as a child, or at least replicate the stuff that I was raised with. So timing is crucial. But it's never too late. And if you're really passionate about something and starting a business, then it's all about planning. And it doesn't need to be a year plan. It could be a 6-month plan. It could be a 3-year plan. It could be a 10-year plan. But it should be something that you're wake up in the morning and you're driven towards. Because if you don't have a plan, then you're going to do the same thing every day and you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to be very stagnant. But if you're working towards something, then every little thing, even if you have an hour a day or a half hour a day, if you can put it towards your goal, then you're making progress. So it's got to start. It comes down to you got to start.
I realized, I said this the other day to myself. It's like, let's just start.
Yeah,
let's just suck it up and deal with it. I got nothing now, anyways. What's the difference?
You got a beautiful family. That's the lot.
No, I meant financially. Like I got no money right now as it is. Like everything is going towards them, anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
I can live. I'm literally still alive. What's the difference at this point? I'm lucky to be able to at least get to work out in because of Dave. I get to work out here and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'd be at home doing calisthenics, which I hate with passion. But that's all it is.
Calisthenics crew just could have started a new thing.
A whole new program.
Yeah, could have started a whole new group, charge membership for workouts. See, already I got your idea. He said it all goes to shit. You can start the calisthenics crew.
It's true. 5 a.m.
Kirk could be your
partner. There you go. You'll be the first one. You'll be the first member of this. And then we got Andrew. He's going to come in there. But he still has a neck problem, apparently.
How important is failure, though, in that whole process?
It's important to, as milestones. And I think if you don't fail, you're not going to be prepared to fail. So it's almost like you're going to be blindsided, So I think it's important to fail, but more important to learn where you failed. And it kind of gives you the formula to success. Yeah, so don't be scared of failure. Everybody fails. It's being scared. It's what gets me at people that are too scared to fail, because then it's like you're not even trying. You didn't even try. So you can't complain about something that you didn't try. If you're so scared to fail, so scared to take a leap or jump, then you're going to live life in regret. So that's why I say if you start today, start tomorrow, and even if it's 30 minutes or an hour, it's like it's self-worth. You feel that you're doing something for yourself and for your dreams, for something that you want to potentially pass down as legacy to your kids.
No, that's good, and just learning process. We spoke about that the other day of learning. I think I spoke to Andrew about this. Just learning the things that you messed up on. That it's more of a learning process.
Oh yeah,
than anything else.
Yeah, life is about the process, not about the.
I've learned a lot, man. I've learned a lot. Yeah. Let's put it that way. So that's why it's when you see certain things, and for me, it just goes back to a lot of my own mindset. And I realize that some people are in the same stage. I've spoken to people that have gone through it, that are going through it as well. And I realize that it's a leap of faith, like you said, in yourself, and passion. Just got to do it with that passion. The failure thing, never really looked at that part. It was like, hey, what happens if I do fail?
Mm-hmm.
How have you dealt with your failures?
Uh,
Just more of a learning process.
it's
Also,
more of a
right?
learning. It's motivation. Because sometimes you fail, you feel like giving up. Feel like, oh, it didn't work out, and I worked so hard for this. Well, it's because you weren't meant to succeed at that time. Because I truly believe that things do happen for a reason. I know it's very cliche, but just for me, speaking of my personal life, everything that I've been through that's been difficult or have been deemed a failure has only blossomed in the end, and realized that I wasn't ready at that particular moment. And that when I did succeed in something, I was meant to succeed then, because it meant that much more. And just kind of have faith and have faith in yourself. And if you're passionate about something, it's because something within you is driving you. It's pushing you. So, obviously, unless you're like passionate about doing illegal activities, you typically, if you're passionate, it's
Still
you're
passion,
moving in the
man.
right direction, right? Still passion. No, everybody's
Show
gonna
power.
fail.
Come on, man.
Everybody's gonna fail, right?
We don't take L's, we take delayed W's.
Wow.
There you go.
I've got a really late deleted W coming on my way. Wow, just had a question. I blanked on it. So what type of who do you currently follow, or who do you what books and stuff like that do you go to get to keep yourself motivated or even up to date on certain things? That was a question. Do you currently do that?
I do.
Are you big on social media type of thing for a business?
I am on social media. I'm not big on it. I follow a lot of local people because I want to know what's going on in the market as far as real estate, as far as architecture and construction. So I follow a lot of local people. When it comes to social media, I follow more of the imagery, beautiful design, and just for inspiration for myself. But I listen to a lot of investors and influential speakers, and like I was mentioning, the book by Robert Sharma and Grant Cardone and Gary Vee and all these people that I used to listen to motivational speeches like every morning on the way to work when I used to have a big commute. Now I drive from Teaneck to Inglewood, so I don't have much of a commute. But you'd be surprised that, just listening to somebody, either give their experience or just motivate you in the morning, how it can kind of set your day up for success. So reading, podcasts, a little bit of social media can be, a positive and a negative.
Do you use social media to promote your business? Or?
I do. Not as much as I should. One, because I have so much business that I really, if I announce and kind of advertise, I'll bring in more than I can handle at the moment. But
it's a good problem.
It
It's
is a
really
great
good
problem. Yeah,
problem.
I'm not complaining. But and that's one thing that eventually Andrew can help me with, and we're working to get to that point. But it's important to, just like the group ACEs, it was important to learn other people's failures, other people's experiences, so that you knew what was coming. Because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Is that group still around, even though you're not part
It
of it?
is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Erica Jungblut, the one that found it, she is an attorney. She has her own law practice. She's also a municipal judge in Teaneck now, and me, Erica, and Andrew share office space in Inglewood, and so that's how we kind of met Andrew through another mutual acquaintance. But we all kind of joined ACEs, and I work with a lot of, so I get referrals from like some of the real estate agents or attorneys that were in that group. I refer, so it's kind of like an angel network, but it's also a support system for entrepreneurs. And it just kind of branches off. You meet other entrepreneurs. You meet
Is it
other
like a
people.
free program?
Yeah. We
Because I
would
feel like
meet
it goes
once a
back to
month.
like a Chamber of Commerce type of situation.
No, Chamber of Commerce is, I guess maybe it started off like that, but it's more about.
Or a Latip, or have you heard of those?
I've heard of Q-Tip.
it's a group that you have to pay for, and you get together with like a lot of local business owners,
Mhm.
and you give each other like. You
give each other
basically
businesses,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's all you're doing. You're
There's like
referring
one attorney in the group, one
Right,
architect,
yeah,
one doctor, and
yeah.
everybody gives. Yeah. I don't. I forgot what that's called. I don't know if it was called a tip, but
There was one called Tip because
Oh, it
I
was.
joined it in Montclair
oh, okay.
and I paid for it, and then I was just like, none of you guys are hooking me up. I was like, I'm doing nothing over
They
here.
didn't even give you the tip.
Thank you. It was a waste. Let's put it that way.
But those groups are very important for entrepreneurs because unlike someone that's working in corporate America, first of all, you're working with staff. You're working with a lot of people. You have bosses, you have associates. So you're around people, you're socializing. When you're an entrepreneur, especially when you start off a business on your own, you're by yourself every day, all day. So one, just not to go crazy is have someone else to talk to. But two, to be able to go through the struggles, the ups and downs in the process of starting and running a business with somebody that's doing the same thing is that much easier because then you bounce ideas off each other's head, and if you need resources, one can provide. So it's very important to network. It's very important to network within your industry to find those resources that are going to help you. And one thing I didn't have, which I hope that I am to somebody eventually, is a mentor.
That was another question.
I didn't have and I reached out to a few people to try to get mentors, and unfortunately, a lot of people are just kind of out for themselves. But I have a few people that I would consider mentors. One being one of my old bosses. His name is D. Marchetto. He's an architect that does amazing work. And if I ever have a question about the business, the practice, or architecture, or anything in general, he's there to answer it. But I didn't have anybody that I could just bounce. I can text message day or night, like, what do I do? And I think that's super helpful. I didn't have it, so I'm hoping that I could help provide somebody with that.
No, that's cool. I definitely believe that everyone needs a mentor at this point. I think that's a huge. It's just an advantage. You get an advantage because someone has already messed up,
Right.
But it's hard to believe certain people. I realize that speaking to a lot of new trainers,
Mm-hmm.
they don't believe the things that I'm telling them. I'm just like, guys, I've been doing this for so long. Trust me, it's not gonna work.
That's ego.
That's the whole. That's the weird part of that whole thing. And obviously you need drive, you need some sort of passion, like you say, and just to be able to go out there and do it on your own. And you have the balls, basically. You gotta have balls,
Yeah,
right?
you
You gotta
do.
have the cojones
Yeah, you do.
to go out there and show the world that you're one of the best,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm.
you got to bet on yourself. I say it all the time. You got to bet on yourself. That's why I don't bet on the Super Bowl because I don't trust anyone. Look what happened with Odell Beckham Jr., right? He's gone now. But anyways, that's great. I think that's great advice. Is there anything else that you think that you would that up and coming entrepreneurs or even architects need that you've already gone through? Like what would you tell the first someone that says, "Hey, I want to get into just starting my own business, right? Architecture." What would you tell them from the beginning? What's the first thing? Hey, come sit with me, learn all this stuff. Would you give someone that
Well, if
experience?
someone's ready to start a business, they should be at a point where
Obviously
they've learned enough in the industry that they can handle going out on their own. And I guess one of the most important things is you have to learn not only about the other aspects of your industry that you weren't specifically taught. Like, when you go to architecture school, you learn about design and structure and mathematics and history, but you learn very little about professional practice, which is the actual the business aspect of it. I think you get one semester in a 5-year program on professional practice. And professional practice is not just about, reading over a contract, understanding what's in a contract or an agreement, hiring, firing, dealing with human resources, dealing with different personalities, managing people. They don't teach you how to manage people in architecture school, but that's probably one of the most important things. If you have a business and you're scaling your business and you have employees, even more important than the work is managing those people to make sure that they're motivated every day to see the vision that you see, similar to what you said. Finances, they don't, you take very limited courses on, economics or business, but it's really just doing your own financing or knowing enough that you can hire somebody to know that they're not ripping you off, right? Because you need to know a little bit about everything just so you can hire the right people to put them in place and trust them and know that they're doing what they say they're doing. So it's learning all the little things, so whatever, for instance, if you're a trainer, right? Scheduling is so important, right? If you want to have multiple clients. And then, how do you incentivize these people and incentivize to grow your practice and bring more people into your training sessions? And then, you know, how do you get your training sessions heard to more, you know, visible to more people? And I guess that's what COVID showed, and what you guys showed here in this room is that you don't necessarily have to be in the gym to benefit from trainers. You know, you could do it at home, and there could still be dollars exchanged, even more so than at the gym in a brick and mortar building. So I think it's more learning about the business aspect of whatever you're trying to get into, because at the end of the day, if it's your livelihood, you need to make money.
Right.
You need to earn, and you can't do that just solely off passion. You have to know enough about finances so that you know what to charge, you know your value, you know what the competitive market is, and you know that you know you're not getting ripped off, you're not doing work for free, and you know that you can profit in the industry that you choose.
So can we say that's a huge, that should be like a course, right?
It
Just
should be.
learning
It should be.
business, understanding, like you said, how to read a contract.
Apparently, entrepreneurship is like a major now in schools.
I heard that too.
I
but I was like, what
have no
what do you
idea what
learn?
the curriculum is
how do you-
like, and I don't know. Like, really, I'm going to Hustle 101. Like,
Yeah, right.
what are we doing? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
But he's
curious
right.
about
There's
that.
there's a lot of things that that just aren't taught in school in general.
Yeah.
That
Got to learn on
should
your own.
be like. You
Like
know,
doing your
how do I-
taxes.
How do I do my taxes? How do I balance a checkbook? And your
Yeah.
math teacher's like, well, 2 + 2 = 4. I don't fucking know. You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's a big gap in
There's a huge gap.
knowledge and application in in the current education
So we just
system.
came up with like a business idea. We should be able to teach the basics of business, right?
I mean, yeah, it's
Just
out there.
learn.
And
Yeah.
there's a reason why I don't teach this in schools, because they don't want you to become entrepreneurs.
They want you to become workers.
They want you to become worker bees, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're dependent.
That's no bueno.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's how the world works, right?
But I think one of the main reasons that businesses fail, even marriages fail, is because of finances.
Oh yeah,
You know,
it's huge.
So it's the good thing now is social media. As bad as there are, you know, social media has become, there's a lot of benefits to it, and one of them is exposure to financial literacy. People are learning about credit. People are learning about
Cryptocurrency.
investing. I mean, everything. This
Yeah.
it's at the swipe of your fingertips. There's no more excuse. You don't have to go to the Dewey Decimal System and look something up in a library. Like, kids wouldn't even know what that means.
Oh, the libraries
But-
even exist
I
anymore.
don't- if they are just for show.
Right.
They're just
So you get-
backdrops for their Instagrams. But yeah, it's everything's at your fingertips now. You can literally YouTube and learn anything.
Just as off topic, we're talking about the library. My son goes to the library with his friends. I was like, hey, go to the library. Here, dude. Like, we'll book a year ticket. He's like, book. They go there to use the computer so they can play Fortnite together. I was like, really?
Like
I was like, you're all going to play Fortnite together?
They're like 50% there. They made it to the
Yeah.
building.
I was like, do you even know what's in the building? They're like, what? I was like, never mind. That was a random thing. I just thought in my head, like, wow, Dewey
No.
Decimal System.
Library is just a building at that point because kids don't have a house to go to. They don't want to be around their parents. So it's just a place they can go after school and chill.
Yeah, when you go in there, it's either you're really old
Yeah.
or you're
You're-
really young just to play video games. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't
No
go
in
there.
betweens.
Yeah, there's no reason for me. I'll just buy the book on Amazon, right? That's all that it is. Well, that was great. Good information. I truly appreciate it. Do you have any other questions?
No, the only thing I was going to say earlier about failure, it's like I remember
Failure.
when I started RPM and we were doing the meal prep, it did well. I remember seeing a monthly tally in sales, and I was like, "What? We're making this much money, like slinging fucking chicken meals? You got to be kidding me!" And then as time went on, certain things were happening, and my path was steering in a different direction. And I kept the kitchen open, and then I decided, I'm like, you know what? I think the best thing right now is to close it. I didn't really want to because I did have that whole like, I couldn't make it work. But then I also knew that it was also keeping it open was also keeping me from doing other things and focusing on other things. And now I see that with some of the things that have been happening around us and certain people I've come into contact with, is like all that information and like web infrastructure that we made for the website and ordering and all, like that may come around again. So that definitely was not a failure. It's like,
Right.
I know the worth of all that stuff that I did.
Right.
So if that were to come around again, it would only be leveled up like a whole bunch. So I don't even miss the fact that I had to shut the doors and be like, oh, that didn't work. Didn't work then.
Didn't work then. Wasn't the time.
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing I say about when we tried to open a studio. Like I've opened 2 of them before. I didn't know any what I was doing. I was like, oh, whatever. We have equipment. We have a space. Blah blah blah. Let's just
Right.
throw some equipment. People will come. No one came. It was like ridiculous, right? I've learned.
People know we're open, right?
Right. Then we were in a gym, and I opened a martial arts studio also, right?
Okay.
In Tenafly,
All right.
in a gym over there, and I was just like, oh, cool. There's members here. They're gonna come and work out with us, and their kids are gonna do martial arts where they're working out. Some did, some didn't. They don't like price points, and I learned. Really, I was like, wow, that was like the hardest learning experience for like a whole year. We were broke because all the money we made was just going right back into the business in itself. I was like,
Right.
wow, we're really not making any money right now. So we had to close it and stuff like that. That's why I realized, like, if we're gonna open a studio, we need a year's worth of rent paid up front. I don't even care.
Right.
A year's worth of marketing, don't care. Those are 2 essentials.
Right.
And everyone has to have at least 6 months worth of salary to live on before we do anything else. I was like, I don't care about how much the equipment is going to cost. I don't care how much rent. I mean, how much all the other things cost. Those things are first.
Right.
Like, equipment is not even essential in my opinion. You have 2 TRXs. I don't care. It still kill you. It doesn't
Right.
matter. So yeah, those are the things that's why I don't jump too deep into a lot of those things when people say, just do this. I'm like, you've never done this before. Man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, you can't just do this.
No.
People tell me all the time, just open a gym. I'm like, look, we're trying. I just don't want to just do it.
Yeah.
Because then when it doesn't work, you're gonna say, well, you did this wrong. I was like, you have no idea what happened.
Right.
That's just what.
There's a
That's
lot
what I
more
said.
to it.
Yeah.
Social
So-
media is one of the things that make it seem like it's so easy. Just buy your first house, your first investment property.
That's what I say.
Like, no, don't just buy it. Learn about, the market, learn about how much you need. And don't, so it's very easy to say, jump and do something. But I think the point that maybe those people were trying to make is that sometimes people put so much thought into it. They do so much reading, so much, planning, but they never take the actual step.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, when are you you're only really going to learn once you actually get into it.
Yeah.
You got to get into the fire to get hot. You got to learn. You got to learn from those experiences. You got to fail in order to succeed. But yeah, don't just jump without actually, doing the proper planning.
Yeah. That's why I just won't do it that way.
Yeah.
That's all.
Let me ask you a quick question on moonlighting.
Ooh, like it.
You said the industry looks down on it. How do you look at it?
So one of the reasons I believe the industry looks down on it is, I don't really know why the industry looks down on it the way it does. I encourage it. I'd encourage it because you're starting you're kind of developing your entrepreneurism, right? And you're learning how to do things on your own. You're trying different things that you don't necessarily do at work. But I think where the conflict comes in is if let's say I'm working for a residential architectural firm and I'm designing houses on the side, then it's going to be the tendency of me to take stuff from the firm, whether it's take software or take ideas or take actual copyrighted work in order to use it for these other projects. I think it's too tempting. So they believe, if it's just a hard split down the middle, if you don't do any work on the side and I keep you busy enough for my 9 to 5, you won't even think of that. But there's no way to really learn to be an entrepreneur, to go out on your own, unless you're actually doing it. And like you said, you can't just jump from full-time job into no salary, no budget. So you have to moonlight in order to start building up finances, building up clientele, so that when you're ready to leave, you have some clients, you have some cash flow. So I think moonlighting in any industry is important. And, the people that do it are the entrepreneurs. For real. I'm going to say 75% of people want to go to work, get off at 5, don't think about work, go home and just have a beer, watch their favorite TV show, right. Netflix, and don't think about anything except work in the morning. And then the problem is they get into this cycle and then they realize they're miserable. It's because, they're just using that as a paycheck and they're not really exploring what is it that's going to make them happy.
Right.
And, a lot of things, just like working out, if it makes you happy and you realize, wow, other people can't do this, they don't know how to do this, I can teach them, there's $1 to that. So
That's a huge thing. Just learning all those things of
learning how to monetize your passion.
Yeah. Your net worth. It's huge. Like we say this on this podcast all the time. Know your net worth, man. It's a huge part. Well, with that being said, I think that we've expounded on this a lot. This is good. I truly appreciate it. So before we get going here,
Do you still partner up and do investment properties like flipping?
Yeah.
I might have something for you.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm always looking. I mean, right now it's really tough because
Has nothing to do with me. Someone I know is.
is it a buyer's market right now, or is it?
it is a seller's
Seller's
market.
market.
And that's
right
why
now.
it's so crazy. So, the only deals I kind of deal with are off-market deals because anything that's on market is overbid, overpriced.
Okay.
There's, no money in it. There's no meat on the bone. But yeah, I just sold something about a month ago. Yeah, 2-family in West New York.
It's a 2-family in West New York.
I'm always looking for that.
Andrew will like this one.
That's the
So-
cool thing too about sorry to cut you off,
all
about
right.
Go ahead.
architecture in general. It's not just you going to school to learn how to draw buildings. It just opens you up. It gives you an eye for design, which many of the people that I graduated with, they went off into furniture design, set like Broadway play design, 3D graphics, gaming.
Yeah.
Somebody that works in Germany now for a gaming company, construction. So it opens you up to the entire building industry and the entire design industry. So that way there's so many different hustles in that. So even if I'm not doing architecture, I can do, construction like I did, or I can do project management. I can do real estate investing. I could be a real estate broker if I want, and I can, or an agent and be so much better than regular agents because I know the ins and outs of buildings, or construction or costs. So
That's the huge thing. And go back to all the time cost. I mean, you gotta know how much things cost and what value of what you have in front of you. People don't get that part, and it seems like everyone just jump in. We're like, this is how much I have. This is how much I want to spend. I'm like, but understand what you're trying to get, what you
Right.
want.
right.
You just got to know those things, or at least look for it. Explore things, do your research. Question things.
Do
I'm bigger
your
on questioning
research.
things. I'm bigger on asking the question why. We're gonna go somewhere else.
Nope.
No.
I
Well,
don't know.
so before we get going here, let everyone know, like, how does anyone get in touch with you, your website, and what's your Instagram?
Sure. So my website, AKT-Designs with an S, and then
What's
my
AKT?
AKT is short for Art Kirk Tech.
Got
So
it.
it's essentially the art, the technology, and Kirk in the middle.
Nice.
It's Kirk Sandwich.
And it's another play on the word architect. That's architect. So it's AKT-Designs.com. Instagram is AKT-Designs. And find me on LinkedIn, website,
Cool.
Instagram.
Cool. All right. Guys, got anything else?
Oh, this was.
Well, this was actually very
It's been a pleasure,
enlightening.
guys.
I truly appreciate it. We appreciate everything, all the knowledge you just dropped on us. Now you got me thinking even more about this whole entrepreneur thing. I'm like, oh.
Anytime you had a question. As a matter of fact, Andrew and I have been talking about trying to get ACEs going again because we see, especially during COVID, a lot of people are working from home. A lot of people ditched corporate America and said, I'm going to start my own thing.
Yeah, there's so
So
many
we-
open offices now because there's no businesses
Right,
anymore. I was like,
exactly.
wow.
We do the Aces Roundtable right here.
There you go. That'd be great. That's a good idea, Andrew. That's a great idea.
Not on Tuesday nights.
I'm not here by accident.
All right. So with that being said, Kirk, we thank you for being on. And on that note, say goodbye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Peace
Bye,
out.
everyone. Cool.